Okay, welcome to a slightly different kind of video. This video is all about defeat. So in this video I'm going to try and go back and revisit some different defeats and try and see if there's anything that can be gleaned from them in aggregate or individual examples and see what we can learn. And here's the catalyst for this video. So after I did my interview with Empires and Puzzles Books channel, this chap Joseph C asked in the comments on that video, in the interview with Jabba J, Jeff asked, since he plays 2111, what he attributes losses to, since he gears his teams toward minimising bad board RNG as much as possible. Jabba J had said that bad decisions on firing specials were his contributing ones, and then Joseph's asking me on my 15% of losses, what would you say are the biggest factors that contribute to those? And you can see there I've had a response, and I recognised at the time there was a good chance I was going to forget, so please feel free to remind me, and clearly I did forget, though it is a very interesting question. And just recently, Nick Olaka, so thank you for bumping this thread, has asked me to look into that again, hence this video. So I'm going to go back and see what we can learn from my defeats and see if we can't answer Joseph's original question. So this is a good place to start. So this is for the spreadsheet I keep of my war stats, and so this is for the one shots that I lose, what can I tell about all of them? So the first 5 rows there, that's I was interested in testing a hypothesis. I thought it might be the case that the downside of playing mono is that when you fail quite hard. I don't know, I've seen that, but is it just my perception? So anyway, the hypothesis was, well, maybe I don't, because I split my colours, maybe I have fewer instances where I fail to kill the tank, for instance. And you can see there in about 40% of my losses, I kill only one enemy, which presumably is mostly the tank. The next most common is killing 2, next most common killing 3, the next most common is killing none at all, and then the least common of all is killing 4 enemies, which understandably is a fairly rare thing. You're only just losing, so very close to taking it out. That row 30 you can see, that's a pretty bad statistic for me. It really should not be that high, but 11% of my losses have involved me timing out. Presumably some of those were definitely heading for a loss anyway, but there's really no reason why that should happen. And I think my recent record has been a lot better than that. Pardon me. And of my losses, about 20% of them involve me fleeing. Basically when there's nothing better that can be done on the board, and the only prospect is of making it a harder clean for one of my teammates, obviously flee the battle. And then down here on rows 35 to 40, I was testing another idea about maybe it has to do with where I'm at in the stage of the war, and I thought maybe flags 5 or 6 might do a bit worse, since at that point I'm usually running out of options for which heroes to use. Might be a bit suboptimal in terms of, I've chosen the teams that I had the best synergies against the best opponents for that. But on those later flags I'm more likely to be struggling to get it right. And well, I guess I'd say the data's inconclusive, really. So I was surprised to see that flag 2 got as high as 19%, because for my midweek wars, flags 1 and 2, I'm usually doing them against much easier opponents than the rest of my flags. So I was thinking that flags 1 and 2 would be underrepresented in these stats. Not the case. But flag 5 is the most common, and flag 6 is the third most, albeit only just. So maybe there is something to be said about that later stage of the war when you're running out of options for which heroes to use. And so you may have, it's possible you've composed the best team you can, but you can't find a really good synergy against the opponent. So here's the line by line I keep of my war results. So what we're going to do for the purposes of this video is, so you can see here on row 501 we've got a defeat. So we're going to go and check that out, and we'll have a look at the team matchups, and I'll skip through the video, pause it in a few places, and see if we can't capture a few of the key things. I'm hoping to go back over the last 10 defeats, which takes me back about 2 months. We'll see how we get on, see how long it's taking. So first one is going to be back to the 11th of August, flag 2. Okay, so here's the first matchup that resulted in defeat. So yeah, it's a moderate team power deficit they've got to overcome there. And I would say this team is definitely in danger of that combination of Tiburtus and Sartana is not enough to be able to kill Elfreich. Then I'm pretty much cooked, unless the dodge can save me. So there may be a team composition problem here that, I have no ailment blockers on my entire roster, so I just don't have the option of bringing one of those, which would be a better option in this circumstance. So normally when I'm up against an Elfreich, I'll normally have someone like Hansel or Merlin along who can put mindless attack on her and make her waste all that time and mana. But Garnet and Leidenbrock are pretty good blockers for that. So it's not a great team composition. I'll carry on and see how the board plays out. So here's the starting board for the defeat. As you can see, it's not great for a purple stack, but there is a blue diamond on offer, so that's a pretty good start to have your secondary all ready to go, and there's a decent amount of green on the board as well. So this is a pretty crucial moment in this battle. I've only had one dark match so far. Leidenbrock's gone off twice, Garnet's gone off once, Liana's gone off once, Poseidon's gone off once, and Elfreich is looming large. Catelyn has just fired, but we do have finally some dark coming through on the board. Next move would be pretty crucial, I think, in terms of trying to get the right amount of darks. So you can see here, I didn't trigger Elfreich at the right time. I needed to make sure she fired. I was so focused on getting my dark tiles. That equalizer had gone off, and Elfreich fired when the dodge had been wiped away. So I had certainly had my work cut out for me at that point. So really a couple of different factors going on there. I knew the team composition wasn't great for what I was going up against. Did start with a bad board in terms of dark tiles, and took a while to get the dark matches. I'd already had I think 5 of their specials go off by the time I finally got my stack going, and then I messed up with Elfreich relative to the war equalizer. I was so intent on getting my dark tiles, I took my eye off that ball and lost the opportunity to use the dodge from Costume Catelyn there to potentially save me. Obviously she could still have hit me and I still could have lost equally badly. Okay, but that's the first one. Okay, next defeat. Here's the team composition. That's not much of a team power deficit, really. This looks like a reasonably good team composition from my point of view. I do have 2 cleansers for Gravemaker. There's not a lot here I need to dispel. So the specials match up pretty well, I think. The colour combo's not ideal, but it's not bad. So I really don't think this is a team composition problem. It's a pretty strong team for me. Let's see what happens on the board. And here's the starting board. So my main colour is underrepresented, but again we've got a diamond in one of my off colours, so that's obviously a great place to start. So I wouldn't call that a bad starting board. Really depends on how fast we clear these tiles out and how quickly we can get some holies on to try and keep me alive. So this is an interesting moment in battle. Sandra's just about to go off. She goes off for 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. It's not an ideal start. And so I've just triggered that dark diamond to make sure I've got grey, got Costume Rigard ready to deal with some of this damage coming in and clean up the burn from Gravemaker. Let's see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4 hits again, and she takes out one of my healers. She's given a lot of mana to her teammates there, so Sandra's certainly had a wonderful time at tank. It's basically been an ideal outcome for her. She's given her team a lot of mana, sped them up a heck of a lot, managed to have 8 snipes, so it's certainly above average for her, and did a lot of damage. Took out my Viv, wounded Costume Rigard very badly, and I'm still only halfway to getting the Dunes ready. Seychat sniped out my Costume Rigard. I've lost both my healers. Then this is the state here, and I think I decide to go for Delilah again, if memory serves. Oh no, gone for Gravy, have I? Is this a tactical error? I do seem to recall I have problems with Delilah reviving on this battle. But I'm already obviously in pretty major trouble here. But if I was able to wipe out that right side and then ghost enough, I'll definitely have enough killing power to overcome the left side. And then I go for Delilah, and she revives. Well, I got a lot of holies there too, so that was pretty lucky. But now I'm struggling to kill. Delilah's finally down, but she's done the damage. My chance of wiping out that right side has already disappeared. Gravemaker's going off again. And you can see that this is clearly heading for defeat now. And so this is about how much health they'll have left at the end. Yep, there we go. Don't quite know what we'd call that. I think the team composition was pretty good. Got pretty unlucky with Missandra hitting 4 targets each time and targeting Viv as badly as she did. Delilah reviving wasn't great, but maybe a tactical error there. Should have just taken out Gravemaker. He definitely would have died. And then even if Delilah comes back, she's not so hard to deal with. So there was maybe a secondary chance there, and an error in use of specials. Okay, here's the next defeat, and clearly my problem was I attacked someone called Invincible, so I was always going to lose this one, wasn't I? Here's the teams. How do these match up? So I've got 2 cleansers. I've got a heal over time and a boost heal. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this team composition. It does kind of reek of getting down towards the bottom of the barrel for I'm often not choosing to use Lady Wollaton unless I really need to. But team composition looks okay to me. So this was the starting board. That's not a bad starting board. It's got some purples on there. It's got plenty of blue. And even yellow is not badly represented. So can't really complain with that starting board. So here's the situation after about 3 or 4 moves. About 4. I've got Glenda going. I've got no mana yet for my darks or my holies. And Costume Magni is about to go off for the first time. So I will have Glenda's cleanse, which was my strategy at that point, to try and get that ready and then work on some other colours. Okay, this is only 2 or 3 turns later, and I've got Wollaton charged, but Magni has gone off. He's just about to hit again. Let's see what happens as a result of this one. He hits Glenda again, and she is dead. Obviously, if it hit the wings, she may well have survived. Okay, here's another critical stage. I haven't used Wollaton yet, and I'm just about to make a move that sets off a big cascade. And you can see how it cascades, and it was always going to at least send 5 tiles into Sartana. And now arrows go off. I've got defense down on 2 of my heroes, and sure enough, bang, we've lost another one. Okay, and here we can see the situation a little bit later. Leonidas is just about to go off. Let's roll through. I've already lost 2 of my strikers, and he's gone after my 3rd striker. Things are looking very grim at this point. That right side's healing up under Telluria. They've got the minions. Yeah, obviously not going very well at this point. And there's the final situation. Yeah, I don't know. We didn't have a great start in terms of the darks, but it definitely wasn't what you call a bad board. Error not to use Wollaton earlier. I don't know that my my Sartana with her defense down could have stood up to the Sachat anyway, but having Magni go off twice, obviously pretty damaging, and that's one of the downsides of Glenda, is that she's not doing anything to reduce their attack, quite like Richard, as a 1 and a 3/1/1 for that reason. Okay, let's move on to the next. Okay, here's the next defeat. Here's the lineup. I brought the Hoggle Catalan team along here because they've got no cleansing and no healing. But boy, have they got some scary heroes. The combination of Elizabeth and Uraeus. So Elizabeth can give you Fiends, and Uraeus can give everyone sand damage as a result. Obviously, Frigg is just devastating. So this is a really tough team with a lot of killing power. Really neither Bold Tusk nor Kirill can do anything to slow them down. They can heal me up more, they can give me some more shields, but they're really doing nothing that is doing anything to blunt the enemy. So let's see how this plays out. And here's the starting board. So I do have, 6 greens, so that's pretty typical representation, and they are reasonably scattered, so definitely not a good starting board, but absolutely nothing really unusual or weird about this starting board. One thing I don't have is, I don't have 3 clear matches, an obvious way to get any of my heroes going. Let's see how this plays out. Okay, we're about 6 turns in. Thorn's gone off once already, and we've only just got the first special here for Bold Tusk. So he's not going to do anything to reduce the damage coming in, and we don't have a 3rd green match in sight either. Okay, and I've got Carol charged now. I've nearly got my greens ready, but not yet. And I think the error here is I have not used Carol at this stage. But as you'll see, in come the arrows, and then a slash on Hoggle has just crippled this team. So pausing it there because look what's about to hit me. All 4 specials. So this is going to hurt a lot. Let's actually play it again and see what goes, how it plays out. Like I've saved Kirill there. There was a bypass anyway. Triple dodge there, that was pretty fortunate. 2 dodges there, that's also pretty fortunate. 1 dodge of the sand damage, and I've still got Kirill's special ready. But this team really is one that is, it's a complete unit, and you take out either Catalan or Hoggle is the only 2 hitters, and it's not good news. You can usually lose a healer out of this lot, but any more than that, lose one of the hitters, and it's trouble. And there's the end result. So I've done a fair amount of damage to them, but yeah, be easy clean, but it was still always looking pretty bad there from the get-go. So would I have been better with someone like Costume Carol perhaps? I did need defence up to counter Frigg, but there really is not a lot there unless I get the greens going to reduce the incoming damage from that crowd. Tough team though, really tough team. Oh, and just to reiterate, there was maybe an error there with the non-use of Costume of Kirill there. Kirill could have kept Hoggle alive. Maybe that was then the key to having a chance on that. Okay, here's the next defeat. This is Rush War, by the way, which explains the opponents over there. And there's a lot of minion makers, and I've got nothing to deal with that. I have brought double Junes for some ability to actually take some heroes out. Sabina for dealing with Krampus, but I've got no way to. I'm relying on Vivica to counter Santa and the snipe from June, or a mindless attack to deal with Elfreich. So let's see how this plays out. So here's the starting board. Definitely wouldn't call that a bad starting board, would you? Quite a bit of my colour, my main colour, and quite a bit of it's under the tank as well. Yeah, not bad at all. Okay, worth pausing at that moment. So I've used my holies, done a bit of damage on the tank, and I've used my snipes to take out Elfreich. So that's, I think it's a reasonably good start. So this looks like maybe a crucial moment here. Santa's just gone off. Krampus is just about to. I decide to use Hansel on Mother North, and she has mana shielded me. Okay, and this is the last frame to freeze it on, because you can see here they're already at full minions, and we've got Mother North and Telluri about to go off. And I flee this battle from here, which I now remember, and it's pretty darn unusual choice, but my commentary at the time was that I thought we didn't need that much to get the win in this war, and so this seemed to make it for an easier clean, was my thinking, to flee at this point. I was going to struggle to deal with Elfreich if she came back, and could end up with a 0-pointer here, so opted to flee this one. But clearly with 5 pretty much full health heroes, I've got, still got plenty of chances on this. So it was kind of a situational flee on that one. Okay, next defeat, and look, my purple team features again. Overrepresented. Interesting. So here's the matchup. It's quite a team power deficit. Yeah, very fully emblemed. Pretty solid troops there, a lot of crit troops. It's going to be hard to cut through. We've got a 3-2 here. But look, we've got a purple stack against a holy tank. This doesn't look too bad to me as far as combinations go. We've got one way to counter the defence down from, two ways, with Costume Regard and Carol to counter the defence down from those two on the left. We've even got a cleanse for the blind and a cleanse for the burn. We've even got attack down for Heimdall here. So this team composition looks reasonably good to me. Yeah, not obviously problematic. Let's see how it plays out. And here's a starting board. Boy, oh boy, that's not a bad starting board at all. Look at that. I've got my strong colour under the tank. It's not going to be enough to get anyone other than Sartana firing, but that's still a pretty welcome start. So here's the situation after, I think this is 4 moves at this point. I've been hit by Gravemaker and Justice is about to go off, and I've completely depleted the board of my 2 colours. So that is now looking pretty dire. Yeah, so I'm wondering whether there's been a bit of a tile play error here by snatching those darks to start with. I did think they were going to kill Justice, even rewatching it now, because that was 6 darks into Justice and it still didn't kill her. So with a stack of 3, I was pretty sure that would do the trick. But no, she survived that, and is about to exact her revenge. And there it is, nice big hit. I'm burning, going to die. Okay, so I had a bit of good luck and a bit of bad luck. I fired Sartana at Gravemaker while she was blinded, and she still hit and took him out. The bad bit of luck was Magni taking out my soul healer. If he had sniped Sartana instead, I might have had a chance possibly to take us home, so long as Heimdall didn't revive anyone. Might have been able to do it with Carol and Richard perhaps. Still probably would have needed a bit of luck, but that is the situation. And with blind and the defence down, that's heading for a loss, obviously. And then this was the state of play when I fled the battle. Heimdall's just about to go off and done some damage on Magni. So that's how that one closed out. Yeah, so misjudging what it was going to take to kill Justice. That was pretty critical. Justice had died, never got hit by that special. Could have been a very different complexion. I'm still frankly surprised that 6 darks wasn't enough to kill her. But there we go. Okay, next defeat, and we've got a 3-2 stack here. This is looking like a this is the 6th flag, and it's starting to look like it with 4-star Sonia and Lady Woollerton coming out again. I do have my 20 emblem Kirill and my high emblem Richard, but secondary June, it's not a combination I use a lot of, but as he's pretty much sort of just an attacking hero, he doesn't have that kind of that defensive aspect to him. But I suppose Richard does also provide some of that. Let's see how this plays out. So this is the starting board. The blues couldn't be more scattered really, but there's enough of them, and I've got the opportunity to set up a holy dragon into a dark tank. So that doesn't seem like a bad starting board at all. And in fact, I manufactured a holy diamond out of that starting board, so not bad at all. Okay, so this is the situation now. I've just had a heal from Woollerton, killed Sartana after she went off once. I've got my blues nearly charged, and a June ready to fire as well. So I'm actually a bit surprised that I lose this from here. Let's find out how. So it took me about 4 turns more to get these blues going, and there was another option I just saw this time around. If I'd played those darks differently under what's his name, under Eslar, I could potentially have then set up the 3rd ice match a lot earlier. Not entirely obvious that it was the better play, but with the way the subsequent tiles worked, and then the burning to death of June, probably was the better option. But even here, it's a healer and 2 strikers against a healer and 2 strikers. So a win is not out of the question still at this point. So I've just unloaded my specials onto them. Magni revived, but they both do have attack down. And they're both about to hit me with some decent snipes, so let's see how that plays out. We've managed to kill Magni, and we've had to wear 1 snipe. We don't have any sand damage. I mean, this is looking not that bad at this point. Okay, it's been about 7 turns and I still haven't been able to get a single ice match. Obviously there's an ice match under Uraeus, but someone's going to die by giving him that mana. And I've just been getting picked apart by minions and slash attacks. Here Uraeus is obviously going to kill someone, and Sonia has acquired herself a minion, which is then going to account for her death. Slash is there on Richard anyway. So that is the situation. Came pretty darn close there, but maybe the decision to how to play the tiles there under Aslar, if I got my ice going earlier, maybe I could have wiped him out without them getting the burn. Would have kept June alive, would have kept a lot more health on Richard. So that's probably down to tile play more than anything. Okay, next defeat, and here's the team composition. Obviously it's a pretty large team power difference. So not a lot of emblems on my side, whereas they're pretty beefy, but they are also pretty slow. 3 slow heroes over there. I don't know why I was thinking with going with costume Kirill here. Regular Kirill seems a much better choice when there's 2 enemies who want to give you defense down. Gives you an extra counter against that. So that's potentially a failure of team composition. But I do have Glenda in the same colour, so she can cleanse. So maybe that was my thinking there. We'll see how it plays out. And I can't help but notice it's my dark team again. So that's an interesting trend we're seeing here. How's the starting board? Well, 6 blues is not terrible. 5 darks is not terrible. Neither is above average, but and they are pretty well scattered. So not a terrible starting board. Not you wouldn't really call it good either. Let's see how this plays out. Okay, here's a crucial moment in the match, and I have got both my ice heroes charged up. I'm looking to try and get what's her name, Clarissa, to fire one more time. But I end up making the big move, and well, let's see how that works out for me without firing my specials first. And I get a big extra combo there into Asania, who just absolutely smashes me. So that's, I think, definitely a failure of specials and maybe tile play as well to not make a smaller move there. There was just a more basic red match at the bottom I could have used to get Clarissa going. Without then also getting smashed by Asania. Okay, here's the latest situation. Looking not too bad at one point. I had Asania and Uraeus both down to virtually no health. Killed Asania, but Heimdall revived her, and yeah, then Xander hit me, Asania hit me, and I'm on my way out the door. And there it is. So yeah, maybe a team composition thing there in terms of my counters. As it happens, when I had those ice heroes ready to go, it would have been better to have both. I could have then fired Carol first for the heal and some defense up, or I could have fired Clarissa for the cleanse. But anyway, I saved those ice specials too long, made too big a move, and got smashed by the resulting combo. Okay, next defeat, and got a large-ish team power difference here, nearly, so about 550, and my stronger green team, and a pretty decent 2 here in Gravemaker and Bold Tusk. Gravemaker obviously can dish out a lot of damage. What they're not so good at as a pair is it's really all offense with them. So there's nothing there that's going to slow the opponents down, reduce their attack, reduce the incoming damage. So you get your reds going nice and early. We've got a double green here. Gravemaker can be, I think he's a good choice to bring along, but might have been better off to bring a 3-1-1 so that the healer could maybe be someone who counters the defense down from Magni, and maybe even does something to reduce their attack or increase my shields. Let's see how it plays out. Okay, so there's the starting board. Yeah, that's definitely not a great one. Red's very underrepresented. Green's just kind of normal and pretty disparate, but we do have ways to set up one green match under the tank, even though it's going to mess up the red match. Let's see how we get on. Okay, so we're about 5 turns in. I've got Gravemaker charged. I'm about halfway on my ice heroes. I've got some greens lined up under the tank. I do have defense down now from these jokers. So it's not looking like a terrible start either. Okay, here's the later stage. Just another turn or two later, gotten rid of Magni. Still very close to getting my greens going, and I try vertical purple into Atomos, and the arrows are also about to go off. So that didn't quite kill Atomos there. I got my greens, but I get smacked and slash. Healers are gone. So that was that. Wiped out in pretty quick order there by the combination of defense down from Magni, hit all from Atomos when I had very high mana. So I'll probably flee from that one. And yeah, and then slashes on the two healers. So there's other ways that could have played out where maybe I would have had a chance. But that was that. Okay, it's a pretty long video. We're going back to 10 defeats now. This is the 10th to the last defeat that I had. It's going back 2 months now. Here's the team composition. So that's not that much of a team power deficit. We've got 2 cleansers. Not that there's any status effects coming at other than the slow wing. I don't actually use this Rigard to Bertus combination much anymore. I find it it doesn't do anything to slow down the opponents, so it is nice having the defense down as that potential combination with the Dunes. But I tend not to use that anymore. See how we play out. Okay, here's the starting board. That's really a pretty hideous starting board. 3 holies and 3 darks. Yeah, that's pretty terrible start. But we do have options for getting rid of the reds. Okay, here's the situation a little later. I think there was a bad tile play decision where I basically delayed charging my Dunes by a turn. I can't think why I was doing that. I took an extra dark match when my darks were already on 0 mana, so I think it was much more important to get the Dunes firing. I could have maybe had Magni. There's a chance I could have had Magni dead before he fired, which would have made a nice difference. But here's the situation now. So it's now 4 on 3. Magni's only got half health. There's a lot of minions over there. But this is still quite winnable, you would think, at this point. Okay, so that's how it wrapped up. Really doing no more damage on my enemies there. So maybe there was potentially a tile play error in there where, well, there's the earlier one where I didn't use my Dunes, get them fired up a turn earlier, and that may have cost me the chance to kill Magni before he hit me. So that was probably the main thing. And then maybe the only other thing was I could have triggered Magni, and I tried to trigger Magni before Costume Viv went off. But unfortunately one extra tile hit Viv, and that was enough to trigger her. So I had defense down, Magni killed Rigard, so there was my healer gone. I actually got a good amount of tiles after that, so yeah, possibly if I hadn't had the defense down on me, I'd managed to trigger him earlier, maybe I could have survived that. Maybe I could have fired up my my specials. Oh, sorry, it was actually Seishat who killed Rigard, and I was had tried to blind her to hope that she might miss, but to no avail. So there we go. There's 10 defeats. I haven't really got a sense yet myself of what kind of seemed to be a real mix there. There was a couple of team composition. Wondering whether that dark team of mine is not that hot, because that seemed to feature disproportionately. And we had some tile play errors. We had some misuse of specials, so holding on to specials when I shouldn't have. So that happened to be on about 3 occasions. Yeah, and there was, I suppose, there was some poor boards were overrepresented, but not hugely. So there was, I think it was about 4 boards that you would call bad for starting boards. And maybe some of them were a bit unlucky, like the Massandra one, in terms of the number of times she went off, the number of hits she got, and the fact she targeted Viv. Sometimes I had my healers got cleaned out first, and sometimes I had all my strikers get cleaned out first. Whereas it's if they happen to leave you with a combination of heroes, of healers and strikers, you can sometimes limp through. So there's some of my observations on my last 10 defeats. Very long video. Congratulations if you've watched this far. I hope that means it's interesting. So do feel free to comment down below if you found this useful. If you've noticed your own kind of trends out of what you saw, because I haven't really had a chance to step back and look at this in totality just yet. It's all happening and being recorded in real time for me. So thanks very much for watching. That will do it.